Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in for my first live chat on YouTube. It's great having all of you on board. A lot of interesting questions came in. A lot of interesting questions. Some of them would probably take a long time to answer. Some of them would probably take won't take that much time. So I've managed to pick and sort some questions that I think are very pertinent to what I do as a motivational speaker, and maybe some questions that you guys have thrown, or you guys might actually throw at me while the session is going. So I'll be more than happy to kind of answer those questions as we go. One of the questions that I've got from Namal here is he's asking me how do you actually become a motivational speaker? Does Toastmasters help you become an international motivational speaker? Well, I'm going to take this question first. What does it take to become a motivational speaker? Does Toastmasters help you to become a motivational speaker? I'm going to say yes and no. I think this is very important. There are two sides to the coin. If you want to become a motivational speaker, if this is something that as you want to do as a career, Toastmasters will probably help you get the foundation of public speaking. It'll help you actually get your A's and B's, the ones and zeros in place, and it will help you establish a foundation on building the skill of public speaking. It can also give you a lot of visibility. Toastmasters has about 300,000 people around the world, a lot of conferences, a lot of events. So actually what happens is people will get to see you, people will get to hear you, and you can actually build a huge brand name. A lot of world champions actually speak in Toastmasters conferences because still it creates a lot of visibility for them. So the part where Toastmasters actually help you become a motivational speaker is by giving you the skill set and creating the visibility for you. But here's something that's very important. If you want to do public speaking as a profession, you have to understand that people will pay you money so that you could give them a solution. That's the most important thing. For example, I found this out later on when I won the World Championship of Public Speaking. Nobody really pays you money to just because you're a world champion of public speaking. People will actually pay you money if you can solve a problem they have. So if you are planning to become if you're planning to become a speaker, paid speaker, something additionally that you can do is also become a domain expert. For example, let's say in HR, in marketing, in psychology, in stress management, time management, and have a specific domain that you can master it. So in addition to becoming a world champion of public speaking and a great speaker and a great Toastmaster, you could also be known for a specialized area. For example, if you take Rory Waden is a great speaker. He didn't win the world championship of public speaking. He actually came second, but he actually makes probably more money than most world champions, because not only is he a great speaker and a ranked speaker, but also he's a domain specialist. He's a guru in self-discipline. So my advice to you, a lot of people actually here in Sri Lanka think that if you win the World Championship of Public Speaking, you can make a life out of being a motivational speaker. Not so. It's not so. What will probably increase your chances is if you have a specific subject that you studied really hard and you've mastered, and you can take that subject and provide solutions to companies, corporates, and people. By profession, I'm a HR professional. So this year in 2015, I'll be speaking in several HR conferences, particularly in talent development. So what this allows me is it allows me to provide companies and provide the market segment that are willing to pay me money to speak, actually to give them a solution in the specific field of HR. So Recapping on the question, can Toastmasters help me become a paid motivational speaker? Yes, it can bring you the skills. It can give you all the technical know-how, the knowledge, the visibility. But something additionally to that that you can probably use is become a specialist, expert in a certain area, a certain domain where you can provide solutions to companies, corporates, and individuals. So, Namal, that's your question, and that's what you probably should do. All right, tons of questions coming in. I'm gonna take a little bit of time. I'm gonna look at some of the questions that you guys are going. I'm gonna pick the next one out. Hold on, let me see. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. Hold on. Here we go. Hey, a lot of questions, man. A lot of questions streaming in right now. Let me pick this question out. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, here we go. David. Okay, David's asking me an interesting question. David's asking me, how do you find that special something in yourself? How do you find a special something in yourself? Okay, this is relating to my speech. So this question is all about how do you find that special something in you. And David goes on to ask his question, Dananjaya, A, how do you find that something in yourself? B, what is that something? What is that something that you talk about in your speech, and how do you find that special something in you? When I look at my world champion speech, and this is so important to me, and what I refer to as the something is the potential that you and I have. Now, I know initially it takes a lot of time to figure out what this potential could be. And when I use the word something, what I'm referring to is that raw potential. Raw potential is a raw talent, a raw skill, a raw energy, your raw inclination towards something. It's not well defined. It doesn't have a solid form. It doesn't have a color, a solid color. It's just something. But it's important because you can mold that potential into whatever you want. We all have potential. What most of us don't have is a well-defined, well-molded frame for that potential. For example, when I look back at my life now, I realize I've always had a potential to get in front of a crowd. I was never afraid to be in front of a crowd. That was potential. Public speaking was the frame that I inserted on top of that potential, and that potential took the shape of public speaking. So in my speech, I see something when I talk about find that something in you. I'm not referring to a particular specific skill set that you can put your finger into. I'm talking about finding that potential. Look inside of you and realize that you have this raw energy that you can mold into whatever you want. When I look back at my life, I realize that I figuring out that potential happened through the people I associated. So when I referred to that something, what I was talking about was that potential all of us have within us. How do you find that something was David's other question is this. For me in my life, for a long time, I wasn't able to realize how I could mold my potential into something bigger. And I always say this, we are like this giant washing machine. I just want you to imagine this washing machine, huge washing machine, which has about thousands of buttons. It's a very powerful washing machine. But the problem is you never got an instruction manual for this washing machine. Now, you have two ways you can figure out how these buttons work. One way is you can press each button and figure out which button works for which function. The next option is you can go to people who have the same washing machine and ask them which button does which function. And that's what I did. You and I, we both are like this giant pieces of equipment that has a lot of potential, but we don't have an instruction manual. So what happens is that we try to figure it out on our own. It takes a lot of time. But something that you can do better is go to people who have figured out things about life, figured out different facets of life, have figured out different secrets to becoming successful, and ask them. And that's exactly what I did. So just to recap on this whole question is, what is that something? The something is the potential that you and I have, that raw energy, which we can mold into whatever we want. How do you find that something? For me, it was by association. It was by asking people who figured out the secrets and then using that to my advantage. Now, it's not the only way, but it's the way that really worked for me. So that's David's question right over there. All right. Let me pick another question. Okay, if you guys have any questions, all you got to do is tweet me, or even on the live group chat, you guys can pop some questions on. Let me see. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so here we go. So Gayan has asked me a question. How has my life changed after winning the World Championship of Public Speaking? Well, a lot of people actually talk about what it takes to win the World Championship of Public Speaking, but nobody talks about what happens afterwards. Well, let me tell you, the toughest part actually happens after you win the World Champion of Public Speaking. That's when your whole journey begins. My life's changed in two ways. First thing is, you have to be so much more responsible for what you were saying, because now you are talking to different audiences around the world. There are people who will literally listen to what you are saying. So you have to be responsible for what you say. So it's not you can't just read a book, wake up one day morning, read a book, and then tell it to the audience. That's not responsible. What you say, you have to have practiced it, and you have to have derived a certain result. And when you are convinced that it has helped you, now you can go and tell it to the people that want to hear about it. So you have to be responsible for what you say, especially when even when I travel abroad, I get a great opportunity to talk to universities and kids, and something that I do with a lot of passion. And it's not as easy as saying, okay, if you want to be an entrepreneur, the first thing you need to do is quit your job. Or there are people who will literally then go and do that. So you have to think quite extensively about what you're going to say. You got to think 3 times, 4 times, 5 times how this will affect the lives of people. And the more radical your thought process, the more forward thinking your vision, the more impactful what you have to say becomes. So you got to think extensively about what you have to say. That's number one. The second way my life has changed is the workload has not increased. I still work as hard as I used to back in the day, but the intensity has changed, because today when I go around and when I work in different when I speak in different engagements, people literally expect novelty. They expect things that would change their life, for me to speak about things that would literally change their life. So you have to have so much of content, and you have to have the ability to contextualize what you are saying to the region of the world you will be speaking at. So not only should you contextualize what you're saying, but you should also have really great content, which puts a lot of stress on you, because you gotta, if you prepare for a speech maybe 40 times now, when people come to listen to you, when people come to pay to listen to you, you gotta prepare so much harder. So it's so much of work that goes into it. So in 2 ways, my life has changed. I've become more responsible for what I say, and number 2, put a lot more hard work into catering to the expectations of the audience. So there you go. That's that question. All right. Okay, questions keep strolling in, strolling in. Here we go. All right. All right. So Gaia is asking me a question. Gaia, hi. How you doing on Twitter? Nice to see you. Gaia is asking me a question. What is your message to the young generation who want to follow in your footsteps? Okay. Interesting question. In my job, I got a lot of people who I get a great opportunity to interact with a lot of young people, and young kids, they want quick results. They want quick results. So just so funnily, just yesterday I was talking to a kid, and he came up to me and said, Dan, I want to be a motivational speaker like you. Tell me how to do it. What do you need me to do? What's the contest I need to win to become a motivational speaker? And then I tell him, that's not how you should go about it. If you want to really become a motivational speaker, winning a contest is not going to help you. It doesn't become it won't make you a great motivational speaker. If you want to follow in my footsteps, you need to have a story of your own. What is your story? That's the key. If I was going to sit in an audience and listen to you, I would want to listen to your story. Now, my story took me 10 years to build. I've met some interesting characters. And my story, the 7-minute version, is on YouTube. And I've taken some risky decisions. I've gone through trials and tribulations. It's been a marathon. It's been a long journey. And in this journey, I've seen people doubt me. I've seen people put me down. And I've seen people support me and encourage me. So my story is unique to me. And today, when I get on stage anywhere in the world, this is what I talk about. My story and my message, that you can find that something in you by surrounding yourself with people. So if you want to follow in my footsteps, what you need to do is ask yourself, what are you doing right now to build your story? Are you an aspiring entrepreneur? Are you an aspiring artist? Are you an aspiring dancer? What is your struggle? What is the challenge you're battling right now? How did you overcome it? What is the journey that you have undertaken? And this is so important. So figure out your story. See, the stage, the public speaking stage, is just a forum to tell your story. Yes, you have to know how to speak. You got to know how to construct a keynote. All of that is true. But when you get on stage, that's just the forum. That's just 50% of the battle. The other 50% is, what are you going to tell the audience after you come on stage? And this is where your story comes into play. So my advice to all the young generation, and Guy, if you're listening in, thank you for putting me that question, is ask yourself, what are you doing to build your story? And that's what people will want to hear. And that's what you should focus on. Don't focus on quick success. Take a huge challenge. Take a massive challenge you want to conquer and go for it and build your story, and then get on stage. Have a story that people would want to listen to. Have a story that people would fly across the world to just come and listen to your story. And if you have such a story, believe me, becoming a speaker, 50% of the battle has been won. Yeah, so that's it. All righty. Let me pick another question. All right. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me grab a question. All right. A lot of questions strolling in. Let me see if I can pick one out. Okay. All right. All right. Let me popping down, scrolling down towards an interesting question. Okay. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. All right. Here we go. Okay. So here we go. Keith. So Keith just popped me a question, and Keith is asking me, Dananjaya, I feel that I don't have anything special. I've not achieved much in life. I feel it's too late for me to do anything great. I feel that my time has passed, and I feel as if I have missed the bus. Is it too late to achieve great things in life? Okay. All right, Keith, thank you very much for the question. I think what Keith was trying to say is, okay, after a certain period, after a certain time, after a certain age, can you do things that are great? Have you missed the bus? Well, it's an interesting question. I think in our life, we have this time to peak. I call it time to peak because all of us peak at different times in our life. I can still remember when I was schooling, I was a pretty average guy. Believe me, I was never really good in class. I was pretty average in sports. And if you take the first 12 years of my life, 12 to 15 years of my life, I was very average. I would have actually thought back in the day I had missed the bus because looking at my colleagues, looking at my peers, they had already surpassed me in many different ways. But it's later on that I realized that we have a time, a particular period in our life where we actually peak. Some people peak very early on in life. Some people peak in the middle. Some people peak very late in life. So, Keith, to answer your question, is it too late to find that greatness within you? No, it's never too late. If you have not found your greatness now, it means your peak, your ascension is yet to happen. I know some people. I know some people in my batch, in my college, in my school that have peaked very early on in life, has done a lot of great things when we were in school, but towards the middle of their life, they've actually burnt out because they put so much of energy to achieving the success that they achieved initially. I peaked in the middle of my life. I'm in my 30s right now, and this is my peak. I know some people like you, Keith, who you might feel, okay, I'm a little too old right now to do anything great. Believe me, there are so many great people who peaked way late in their career. So is it late for you to achieve something great? It's not. There is a time for you. There is a time for the greatness within you to come outside. There is a time for you to ascend, and that period, that time, can be anywhere in your life. So if you haven't gone through it in your early days, if you haven't gone through it in the middle, then what I would believe is that time period is yet to come. So don't worry if you feel that you missed the bus. You have a bus is yet to come. There's a very good story about this. Is I was just talking to one of my friends who became an entrepreneur very late in his career, gave up gave up his profession as an engineer to follow his passion of being an entrepreneur, and he did this at the age of 40. Now, today, he's enjoying more success than what he did previously in his entire life. Now, this is just one story out of so many. And if you take a look at a lot of the world's leading entrepreneurs, you would see, yes, there are the Mark Zuckerbergs who peak at 18, but there are also very great entrepreneurs who peak very late in their life. So it's never too late. It becomes too late only when you stop trying. So don't stop trying to bring out that greatness. Don't stop searching for that greatness. Just keep moving forward. And what you will see is that there will be a time for you to come out with that greatness, but don't stop trying. That's the main thing. Just keep searching for it. Just sitting on your couch and just waiting for that greatness to happen, waiting for that greatness to come, it's never going to happen. If you put enough effort, if you take the risk, if you go on this adventure to discover your greatness, you will find it. And that can be at the start of your life, in the middle of your life, or later on in your life. So keep searching for it till you find it. All right, Keith, that's gonna be your answer for me. Okay, good. All right, let me pick a couple of more questions. Here we go. All right. A lot of emails coming in. I don't have time to read all of your emails, guys, but I'm gonna try to pick one or two and put down some answers for you guys. Yeah, hold on. All right, here we go. It's an interesting question. Okay. Um, so here we go. Ron is asking me a question through email, and this is Ron's question. This an interesting question. So Ron is asking me, Dananjaya, in my life, I am surrounded by a lot of negativity. I'm surrounded by people that doubt me a lot in what I'm trying to do. Can you please tell me a way to convince them? Can you please show me a way to help them understand that what I'm trying to do with my life is something that I have envisioned for myself? How can I convince them that my vision for success is what I want to do? Okay, all right. So I think what Ron is trying to say is, okay, so Ron, what you're saying is there's something that you love to do, but you're surrounded by negativity, surrounded by people who don't believe in what you're trying to say, what you're trying to do, and you're asking me how I could convince them. Okay. Um, whenever I've met a lot of great leaders in my life, and if you ask me one thing that separates great leaders from absolutely average people, is that they always try to do something impossible. I think the mentors in my life, from Arunachalam Balraj to Hampton Sam to all of the people you hear in my speeches, one thing very consistent is that they reach for a dream or a goal that many other people think it's absolutely impossible to achieve. So if you have a dream that other people they look at your dream and say, are you mad? This is not something that you should do. Are you crazy? This is out of your league. Then that is exactly what you should be doing. Hands down, hands down. Picking impossible dreams, picking impossible goals to achieve is the one thing that separates very successful people from very average people. That being said, it's very important to understand, the more impossible the dream, the harder it is for you to achieve it. Now, the harder the dream becomes, the better and bigger the support structure you have has to be. So you cannot achieve impossible dreams without having a support system, a structure that is able to push you forward. So my honest opinion to you is, rather than trying to convince the people that doubt you, try to surround yourself with people that are trying to achieve equally impossible things. Now that's what I did. When I was going for this world championship of public speaking, or even my goals as an entrepreneur, I didn't try to change the minds of the people that doubted me. I wasn't going to waste my time. But what I did do was I surrounded myself with people that had equally impossible dreams. We were all a bunch of dreamers together, and we supported each other. And I went and followed teachers and mentors in my life that encouraged reaching for goals that are absolutely impossible. See, the beauty of this is this: the people who doubt you will be the first people to love you once you achieve your dream. I want you to listen to that very carefully. The people who doubt you now will be the first people to love you once you achieve your dream in life. And that's the case in a lot of success stories. Actually, to tell you the truth, today, even in my life, the people that doubted my ability to become successful at what I do, they are the people who are championing me now more than anybody. I don't know, because maybe they feel a little guilty, because they feel a little guilty they didn't support me back in the day. But believe me, they love me more than anybody else. So my advice for you, Ron, is this: if you have an impossible dream, don't try to justify it to people that don't understand. Go ahead and do it. And once you become successful, the people that doubt you will be the first people that support you. Now, I know what you mean. What if the people that doubt you are your parents? What if the people that doubt you are people that are very close to you? And this is why I always say, there comes a time when you're chasing an impossible dream where you have to cut the umbilical cord. You gotta sever the umbilical cord a little bit. You gotta go out on a journey on your own. You gotta move out into the jungle, move out in the forest. You gotta leave the people who love you behind and go and achieve your dream and then come back. See, part of the reason that people who doubt you are the people that are closest to you could be because they love you. Your parents could love you. They don't want you to do risky things. They don't want you to try to do crazy things that they feel might get you in trouble. Then that's love. That's what love is all about. But it's up to you to walk away. You got to walk away from that and go out into the wilderness, into the forest, achieve your goal and achieve your dream in life, and then come back and show them the success. And when you show them that success, they will be your biggest sponsors in life. And that's how you handle that one. All right. I hope that answered your question. Okay. Here we go. I think I can answer two more questions. I got two more questions and I am done. Here we go. Guys, I'm so sorry that I can't answer all of your questions. I got tons of questions. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Prasanna Udara is going to ask me a question. The question Prasanna is asking me is, what is your message for a person who just joined the Toastmasters program? Okay, I'm going to make this quick because I'm going to have a couple of more questions. Udara, I'm going to make this quick for you. I want you to focus on your first manual. A lot of Toastmasters run through the first manual very fast. Don't do this. Take your time, study the material, and really understand what that manual is trying to tell you. Don't rush the program. While you're doing your manual, take part in contests. Believe me, by taking part in contests, you hone your skills to a different level, an entirely different level. So if you want to build your confidence as a speaker, and if you want to build your confidence as a public speaker, what you need to do is two things: follow the first 10 lessons in your manual, and then take part in contests. And that's going to build up a lot of your career. But listen, don't put undue expectations on yourself. Take part in contests to improve your confidence, not to win. Not to win. I mean, winning will happen gradually, but taking part in contests will help you hone your skills. And that's my advice to you. All right, here we go. Okay, we have Subrat is asking me a question. I would like to know what's the best way to practice a speech. Okay, beautiful. I like this question. It's a very bit of a technical question, but I like it. I'll tell you how not to practice a speech. How not to practice a speech is practicing it alone. Now, that's not going to help you. It does not help you to go in front of a mirror and do your speech in front of a mirror to your reflection. Now, that's not how you should do it. Ideally, I love practicing my keynotes in front of kids because I love the reaction that I get. And more often than not, that's the reaction you would inevitably get in a large audience. This is why at least once a month or twice a month, I speak in schools and I speak in universities. All of my new content that I want to do internationally, in my international keynotes, I actually practice it in schools and universities, at least once or twice a month. And this gives me the ability to try out new things, less pressure, gives me ability to practice in front of a live audience. And what it gives me a lot of confidence. So to answer your question, how to practice your speech, don't practice it alone. Practice it in front of a live audience. Understand the reactions. Where do they laugh? Where do they cry? Where are they silent? And while you're practicing it, make a mental note. And this will help you really fine-tune the art of delivering your speech. So how not to do it is don't practice it alone. How to do it is practice it in front of kids, schools, universities. If you have a big speech coming up, especially, always try to get a live audience to practice your speech. All right, that's Subrat. That's my question for you. All righty, here we go. All right, we got one more question and I'm done, guys. I'm sorry, I got a lot of questions coming in here, but I'm gonna go for one more. Here we go. One more question. All right, Cyril, okay, Cyril's asked me a question. Cyril has asked me, how do you come up with ways to spread your message creatively? How do you come up with okay, so Cyril's question is, how do you come up with ways to spread your message creatively? Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a very important question. I love to become creative in the way I actually communicate my message. But for me, creativity has a small threshold. See, if you exceed the threshold of creativity, acceptable creativity in public speaking, what happens is it dilutes from the message and people just go, what is he doing? What's going on here? So in public speaking, and if you're talking about public speaking, and this applies only to public speaking, there is a creativity threshold. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable? Because inevitably, if it's a life-changing message, it shouldn't be too weird or too crazy in terms of creativity for you to deliver. So long as it's within a creativity threshold, there are many ways you can adopt to deliver your message. One of the best way, I love using the art of storytelling in different ways to give my message creatively. Now, one of the ways that I love to do is in my stories, in my speeches that I like to use is I like to be the villain in my story. A lot of speakers love to play the hero in the story, but I really love playing the villain. I'm like that. I'm like the dark version of Batman. Well, Batman is anyway dark, but I love playing. I mean, you get what I mean. I love playing the anti-hero. I think a very good example would be something like something like Bane in Batman. I love playing that villain in certain stories. And I know Tupac Shakur. Some of you guys who love Tupac, in some of the few movies that he did, he always played the villain as well. So one way that I bring creativity into my speeches, I love playing the villain in my speeches, and that really gets the audience engaged because they expect me to be the hero, and inevitably I go out to be the villain, and I can, and that's because I want to put that message across more impactfully, and come across as the villain. And inevitably, what I do is I make the audience the hero in my story. So that's one way that I love using creativity. Another method that I love to use is the use of props. Now, if you look at my speech, I see something in you. I use different props in a very meaningful manner to really captivate the audience and capture the attention of the audience, so that it has three elements: a visual, auditory, and a kinesthetic. And a kinesthetic means a feeling, a deep feeling sense into my speech. So I love using props. Is another way that I can increase creativity in public speaking. And probably another, if I look at some of the strategies that I've used in my past, something else that I love to do is just audience interaction. A couple of keynote sessions that I've done recently, I've actually had massive audience participation in the audience. I love using a little bit of, I've actually started using a little bit of magic on stage right now, a few magic tricks, a little bit of sleight of hand, a little bit of puzzles, and a little engagement tricks that you get the audience to work with you. So these are some of the ways that you can increase your creativity on stage. But remember, it has to be in between a threshold. If it becomes too creative, it becomes too weird. So you got to figure out what's the threshold level for your message in creativity, and you should be able to stick to that. All right. Okay, Cyril, that's your answer. I hope I answered your question, bro. Let me see if I could put one more question in. All right, my team is going no time. Okay, but I think I may be able to put one more question in. Throw one more question in here. Okay, here we go. Let me see this. One more question. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to take this question. Here we go. Okay. I recently took part in a speech contest and I could not come as the winner. Actually, I came in third place. The person who actually came first place had a lot of dramatic body language, danced on stage, and it looked more like a drama, where I had natural body language. Most of the Toastmasters were judges. I am finding it difficult to understand why they would rate drama over natural body language. Okay, all right, that's an interesting question. Thank you very much. All right, I'm not, because of the sensitivity of the question, I'm not gonna say the name, but that's an interesting question. Body language. So, is body language, theatrical body language, great, or natural body language great? Now, here's the story. When judges are marking your speech in Toastmasters, body language is just a part of many areas you need to cover. Okay. For example, you get 10 marks for your message, you get 10 marks for your vocal variety, 10 marks for your structure, and you got a lot of these tiny boxes that judges have to mark. At the end of the day, the result you get, whether you win your contest or not, depends on the aggregate of all of these marks. It doesn't depend on just one factor. See, I may be a speaker and I might do a magic show on stage. I might do acrobatics on stage, but the maximum number of marks that a judge can give me is 10 marks. That's it. And there is 90 marks, 90% that goes for a lot of other things in your speech. So, my friend, I would probably recommend to go back to your speech and actually see whether that 90% is better than the person that actually won. Okay, and I get this question a lot. A lot of people come and tell me, Dan, a lot of people ask, I'm the guy who won, did theatrics on stage. Is that what you call a speech? I don't like people acting on stage. Well, listen to me. That percentage of body language, the judges can only give you like 10 marks for that. 90% goes into different aspects. So even if I give a person who does theatrics and who does a lot of body language on stage 10 marks and I give you 8 marks, there is a whole lot of more marks for your competitive speech that you can get from different areas, other areas. So you should focus on that. Personal opinion, I love doing natural gestures and natural body language. Once again, it's about the threshold. For me, I have a body language threshold. I'm comfortable with experimenting body language and gestures within this threshold, which is enough in a competitive speech to get me the maximum marks. But I know that for body language, you can only get 10 marks. So what I focus more on is structuring my message, my vocal variety, my language, my pausing, my sentence structuring, which comprises of 98% of all the other marks. Audience interaction is another area. So the question you got to be asking is, do I have the 90%? The rest of the 90%, do I have that sorted out? So rather than focus on the 10% on body language. But my personal opinion, I'm not a very theatrics guy. I have a threshold for body language, and I experiment with body language in that area while being conscious that I can get 90% of the marks that I need to win a contest outside of body language. That's how I would approach. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I've had an amazing time with all of you. I've got tons of questions that I could not answer yet. But if you do have more questions, if you do have anything you want me to answer, just email it to me, Facebook it to me, or you can even tweet it out to me, and I will definitely make it a point to answer those questions in my next session. When I get a chance. So I hope you guys enjoyed the session as much as I did. I loved it, and thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate it. All right, okay, here we go. Thank you.